Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and one of the most competitive classes in the new car market is the compact crossover. So Volkswagen knew they had their work cut out for them when redesigning this Tiguan for the third generation. So here it is, all new for 2025, featuring a light up badge here on this SEL R-Line model, a giant gaping front grille that is only partially functional. They could entirely get rid of this part, because this is the only part with holes, and then down here. So this could not be nearly as black, but it's also coming in a green color, which I quite appreciate. So I've spent the last week with the car, and there's quite a lot to talk about when it comes to pros and cons. The car has grown a little bit. It's a good amount of space for a compact crossover, and they've done quite a lot right. So let's get right on into it. Starting off in the back here, pop open the power liftgate on this SEL model, and we see a very large cargo compartment storing today's video sponsor, Heybike. This is the Heybike Mars 3.0 folding electric bicycle. And you can see here that if you don't want to carry it on the back of the Tiguan, especially because Tiguan only has a 1,500 pound towing capacity, which means you can only put 150 pounds on the tongue, which means if you had two Heybike Mars 3.0s, that would be pretty hard to do, although you wouldn't be able to fit them inside either. But either way, if you want to transport this bicycle, you can see it folds right up, and then we can bring it out. It is a little bit heavy, coming in around 70 pounds or so without the battery in, but it comes out just like that, easy to grab onto, and you can see it actually stands up when folded, and then you can unfold it like so. But before you do so, you take the battery, slide it in like that, then latch it closed, bring the handlebar up, latch that closed, get out your key, turn it on, and then use either your NFC tag or your phone in the Heybike app. You can see it's going to pair up with my Bluetooth just like so. And we are running. Bring the seat up. This bike has over 1,400 watts of peak power. It'll go up to 65 miles on a charge. It's got full suspension. And it's honestly pretty darn fun. You can go up to just around 30 miles per hour. And I better not go that fast because you all aren't going to be able to hear me with the wind. Full disc brakes, so you can ride it like a bicycle pedaling, or you can just twist the throttle and have it go like that. And because you got that full suspension, you can hop up onto curbs. Also these big tires. Woo! So if you want to drive your Tiguan into something like a parking lot in the outskirts of town, and then throw the Heybike in the back, pull it out, and ride into the office, you can do that. Or if you're going riding on the weekends or something, it's nice to have to be able to fold up, put in, and still have all of your rear seat room. If you want to pick yourself up a Heybike Mars 3.0 or any of their other products, check the link below. I'll probably get you some sort of Daily Motor discount. You've probably been seeing more and more people out on electric bicycles these days, and you might be saying to yourself, you know what, those look pretty fun. I'm curious. I'd like to get myself one. This is a nice, affordable option. Get your feet wet. It's cool. It's cool. And then once you're done, you get back to the Tiguan, fold it up, fold the handlebar down, bada bing, bada boom. And because of this low load height in the Tiguan and flat height, it's easier to get in than something that were higher up and had a big lip to get over. Ow. Kind of roll it forward. Not going to tell you that it's super light by any means, but for the power, I suppose, what are you going to do? And then, look at that. Fits into this area. Power that closed. Heybike Mars 3.0 and Volkswagen Tiguan. Made to work well. But then you can see Getting into the second row, you still have a surprising amount of room. I didn't have to fold the seats down or anything to get that in. And me as a 5'10" adult, acres of knee room and a nice seat recline as well. Can you adjust the recline? No, it looks like it is fixed, fairly relaxed, but you got the flip down armrest, some cup holders, heated seats back here in this SEL model, as well as 2 USB-C ports and air vents. I had our daughter back here with the Duna stroller, and it was actually really nice because these seatbelts are so long. I mean, these are probably the longest rear seatbelts I have used. Look at this. Look at how long these go. That's crazy. So I was able to wrap the seatbelt around her car seat super easily. But if you're using latch anchors for the car seat, very easy to access as well. So good thoughtfulness on Volkswagen's part there for rear seat passengers. And then you look at the front. Very attractive with this two-tone leather and this SEL R-line. And then look at this wood grain up here on the console. These big screens, giant 15-inch infotainment screen here. I actually have a dedicated breakdown on the infotainment system. If you want to see more on how that works, check the link below for that. But you get a smaller screen in some of the smaller models. It should still work the same. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the interior looks. It's a fun design. But let's get on to my cons and pros for the new Tiguan. And my first con coming out here is the front end styling. From the moment I saw the press release come out to when I saw the Tiguan parked in my driveway, I just can't get over this giant black mouth on the front of the car. I don't quite understand what they were thinking. Is this attractive? Does anybody like this? It's a shame because the rest of the car actually looks quite good. The headlights are nice. I like the LED light bar. I like the wheels. I think those are cool. The two-tone works. The paint's attractive. And the rear end is really nice and handsome. But why? Why Volkswagen with the giant front plastic grille? I just don't understand it. Most of it's not functional. Why does it have to have that big mouth? It borderline kills the car for me. I just don't understand it. Next con, coming in here, the interior storage and practical space. You get into some other compact crossovers these days, and they've been so creative with how much room there is inside the car. I think it's the RAV4 and maybe the Tucson as well has a nice storage space up here, whereas in the Tiguan, it's just all appearance and looks. And again, in here, the cup holders just barely fit my 32-ounce water bottle, and then you can sort of put a phone on its side there. And then here you have a fairly narrow storage area. It would be nice to get more space for both the passenger and the driver to put things. No sunglasses holder up here. And then the rear is a little bit more adequate, I suppose. You got these kind of little storage spots here, which are better than nothing. This is actually pretty decent out of the box thinking. And then the doors have more storage space. But again, some of the other cars, you get like a nifty little phone holder right there. I'd like to see that. No storage in this big center fold down armrest. So again, if you're going on a road trip or using this car daily, it'd be nice for them to have thought a little bit more outside the box and how can we fit more storage space inside here instead of just having all this taken up space. And then next, the piano black. Look at this. I've had this car for less than a week and you've already got ugly smudges here on the piano black. How is this going to hold up after, what, 50,000 miles? It's going to be all scratched. It's going to be gross. Piano black doesn't work in touch points for family cars. I just don't understand why brands keep using it. If you want to have it up here, okay, totally fine. No one's smudging that up on a daily basis. But down here, not where piano black belongs. The next con, turning the Tiguan on, letting it come to life. The climate controls. But I went back and forth as to whether to mention this as a con. All the climate controls are within the screen. That being said, compared to many of the other vehicles that have all the climate controls in the screen, these do work better. You've got physical controls right here for temperature. You've got Clima right here, and then you press and get all of the climate controls. You can do fan speed individually and press auto. On top of that, heated and ventilated seats are both single touch options. You don't have to bring up a separate menu like in the Tesla or the BMW that we just had in order to get to your seat controls. All of that being said, I decided to still mention it because there are still models out there that were recently redesigned in this segment that have physical real button climate controls separate from the screen. So I know it can be done, and I know that vast majority of people prefer physical climate controls, myself included. Still a frustration to have to press through the screen to adjust your climate. It's a con. Next con, starting up the engine as the whole car shakes to life there. It helps enunciate my next con, the engine. This is a very mature and refined interior and car and overall driving experience aside from the 2-liter turbo in here. And it's strange to me because Volkswagen's been doing 2-liter turbocharged engines for a long time. So the graininess and general unrefinement of this engine was surprising to me. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim that we should have a V6 in this car or anything like that. No, I'm just saying that it doesn't feel like the engine doesn't match the character of the car. And obviously, somewhere we had to have a degree of cost cutting and cost savings. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing that come from the powertrain. It's just disappointing. Here we go. Let's pull out here. Two-liter turbos can be made to be remarkably subtle and smooth and velvety. Shame that we're not getting that here in this upper level Tiguan. My last con is the warranty. The Volkswagen Tiguan is squarely in the mainstream brand collection of cars. So we're lumping it in with Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Ford, Chevy. It's not a premium model like a BMW, Mercedes, Acura, Infiniti, anything like that. However, it's only got a 4-year, 50,000-mile powertrain warranty, which is what we typically see from luxury brands. Typically from mainstream brands, we see 5-year, 60,000-mile, or in the case of, I know it's Hyundai, Kia, but I think there's another brand, maybe it's actually Nissan, as there's a Rogue in front of us there, have jumped up to 6-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranties for the original owner. Now, the bumper-to-bumper warranty is a little bit longer than those. You do get that 4-year, 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, so it's a little bit of a trade-off there. But for me, it's unfortunate to only be getting 4 years, 50,000 miles compared to so many other cars that you're going to have that powertrain warranty for a longer period of time. Coming back here static for my pros, and the first one is, aside from the front grille and bumper, I like the styling of the rest of the car. Everything exterior-wise, and particularly the interior on this SEL model. You can't argue that this is handsome. The two-tone kind of peanut butter and I don't know, black licorice combination of the seats and the doors, and then this beautiful wood grain. It works. It really does. It's a handsome and well-styled interior. Cool pedals down there, nice floor mats. I mean, everything works visually and looks really nice. It's just a shame that that front end looks the way it does. And then they've even gone as far as to make the infotainment, the colors and the design kind of work with the rest of the vehicle. Although I will point out that sort of the modernness of the infotainment clashes a bit with the sort of classic interior design. All things considered though, it's a sharp and handsome interior. Next pro, again, the rear seat and cargo layouts. Tons of room for either adults or rear-facing car seats in the back, and then all of that cargo space as well. Part of me laments the fact that models continually get bigger year after year and generation after generation, but it is hard to argue that all of the space here in the Tiguan, very, very useful. The next pro, believe it or not, is actually the technology suite. Aside from the climate control, I have actually really grown to appreciate this infotainment system and tech suite here in the Tiguan. Volkswagen had some kind of growing pains with their newer system. I think they call it digital cockpit. And part of it was too laggy, especially in the ID4. It needed maturing. But now they've got a good amount of processing power to back it up. Maybe they've streamlined the code a little bit. But during my infotainment breakdown, I went through the system and went through all its functionality. It's got a ton of customization. It does have a learning curve, but once you get familiar with the system, it is actually one of my preferred infotainments on the market. Now, I do still have a preference to the Android automotive based, the Google baked in systems, but this one, pretty darn good, and gotta give kudos to Volkswagen for sticking with it and improving upon it. Next pro, the ride quality. For this class of vehicle, especially riding on 20-inch wheels, I would entirely have not considered ride quality to even be necessarily a pro or a con. If this were a little bit more of a jerky ride, I would have been like, all right, that's kind of just standard fare for the price, class, and wheel size of this vehicle. But no, between the primary ride, which is kind of initial bump absorption, and then secondary ride, which is how much the vehicle reacts, Tiguan actually rides really well. I'm impressed with the suspension tuning on this car. It's remarkably refined, and something I noticed right away and then appreciated for my entire week with the vehicle. My last pro is, surprisingly, the price. This one you're looking at here, just a hair over $42,000. And I've got to be totally honest with you. When I first got in the car, let me take a step back. When I first get vehicles to review, I often don't look at the window sticker or the price or the build configuration or anything off the bat, because I want to get impressions for the vehicle without sort of predisposing myself. So I get in and I drive it around and I think, okay, here are the things I like, here are the things I don't initially, and also how much do I think this car costs based on all of that. And I expected, especially being a new generation of car here in 2025, I expected this to be at least $45,000, and then maybe even getting up closer to 50, and then I was going to be disappointed with how much it costs. But then when I looked at the sticker and I saw 42, and going down into the mid to high 30s for the entry-level models, oh, hey, we've got all-wheel drive, we've got heated and ventilated seats and 360 camera, and aside from the engine refinement, overall a very mature and nice to drive car. I was actually pretty surprised. So, hey, kudos to Volkswagen for keeping the pricing realistic on this car. Very competitive. Very nice, very nice. So, wrapping up my final thoughts overall here with the new Tiguan. What's most interesting to me is it's a very marked departure from what Volkswagen was and what they represented even just as far back as 10 years ago. Volkswagens for so long were sort of the German Honda, if that makes sense to you. This sort of what you need and not any of what you don't in what makes an automobile. For example, my wife now, when I met her, drove a 2013 Volkswagen Passat SE. Simple, silver, basic car, but mature and refined. And that's what she appreciated about it, is it didn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It wasn't a flashy look at me car. But for her, when she bought that car, she was something in her early 20s, and she wanted a car that made her almost distinguished. That when she pulled up to her job, people thought, oh wow, that's a very mature car for you, because she's this shorter, small blonde girl, and I guess she was a woman at that time. But she wanted a car that sort of showed that she was mature. And the Passat did that in a very understated way, and all Volkswagens did. They were a true driving and well-executed car. Now we're seeing an entirely different side from Volkswagen. We're seeing bright, flashy colors and fancy interiors and ventilated seats. And in fact, this car even has massaging seats in it, and massaging seats that work pretty darn well. And a very loud look-at-me sort of exterior. Multi-function controls and it's clear that Volkswagen is coming after an entirely different market than they have been in the past. And if they continue with products like this Tiguan, I gotta say that rebranding will probably be successful, because they're doing a pretty good job at it. But it's gonna take time, and it's gonna result in older school Volkswagen shoppers and buyers leaving the brand, because this car is not going to appeal to somebody who was driving a Passat 10 years ago. They're going to go to an Accord. An Accord is a perfect example of a car that speaks softly and carries a large stick. That's not the case anymore with the Volkswagens. And the only car in Volkswagen's lineup that kind of does that now is the Jetta. The Jetta is fantastic, but admittedly boring. I love its boringness, but boring nonetheless. So the Jetta will probably go away as well and be replaced by the Taos. And this is Volkswagen now here in 2025, for better or for worse. And with that, we got to put it on the Daily Motor Leaderboard. 30 cars now on the DM Leaderboard, with the leaders being Ford F-150, Hyundai Santa Fe, and Honda Passport. Despite the Tiguan doing everything well, it hasn't really spoken to me throughout my time with it. And I think I know where it's going. It's going to go 16th place, so just a hair under halfway, right above the Ford actually, no. No, because the Frontier... Why is the Frontier so low? Oof. Why is the... Yeah, no, it's actually going into 20th place. Because I don't know. It doesn't do anything wrong, but all of these cars above it here on the DM Leaderboard have a charm to them, or some raison d'être, a reason that kind of stands out to me that I would pick them. I mean, even a car in 19th place, the Civic hatchback hybrid, fun to drive, Frontier, very capable, Sonata, remarkably efficient and comfortable, Explorer, very well executed, I mean, there's a lot of good cars on this list. The Tiguan is not bad, and it's better than a lot down there, like the 4Runner and the Tundra and the Mercedes S680. And in fact, the Jetta, all the way down there in 27th place at this point. And I said I liked the Jetta better than this car, so I don't want you to see that and think, oh, the Tiguan's not very good. It is pretty darn good, but it's missing a soul and a character despite all of its well execution. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Tiguan, check the link below for our highway fuel economy test, our Harman Kardon breakdown, or our infotainment review. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.